Welcome to What the Flick, and guess who's back? It's Matt Atchity, and he's somebody's husband now.
Woo!
Welcome
That
back.
poor woman.
Mazel tov.
Mazel. So
Thank you.
it's a big week all around. Matt is back. I have Alonso to my left. I'm Christy, and Harry Potter. It all ends. Have you seen the billboards? Voldemort has no nose. And it's going to end. So Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, the end of our decade-long 8-film franchise is about to end. I'm a little choked up just thinking about it. Do you want to describe it?
Well, basically this one picks up right where Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 left off, and Harry, Ron, and Hermione have to find the remaining Horcruxes that contain the bits of Voldemort's soul if they're going to stop him from destroying all of Mugglekind, and Hogwarts is under siege, and people die, and
Don't
things
say
get...
that.
I'm not saying who, but people die, just you should know. And yeah, things happen, and it's take a look.
You have fought valiantly, but you have allowed your friends to die for you rather than face me yourself. On this night, join me and confront your fate.
We can end this. I never wanted any of you to die for me.
Are you sad? Are you going to wait in line outside the theater down the block with your homemade wand? That's not even a euphemism for anything. There are actual wands to be made.
Viewers have probably pre-ordered their tickets. I don't know if you've seen, like, the pre-orders on all the websites have been staggering for this movie.
Yeah,
How
at
many
Fandango
millions?
they've been talking about this is one of the most pre-sold movies of all time. Like, this will undoubtedly be one of the biggest movies of the year.
And
I
there
think
are,
it'll be
and there
the
are
biggest of the
not just midnight movies on Thursday, but like there's a 3:40 a.m. show.
And people will go.
And people will go. Like all night long, they're showing it.
And what's funny about that is that people know how the movie ends. They know how the story ends, right?
The super fans have read the book.
Right, that's the thing. So you don't need to stay up and go see the movie at 3:40 to find out that Voldemort is Harry's father.
Yes, but should they?
Oh, wait.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry.
Wrong
I did
franchise.
wonder.
In the end, Harry actually tries to
Dumbledore.
keep the ring for himself. Oh wait, that's the wrong.
So
sorry.
should they get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go see Harry Potter?
If you're a big super fan, yeah, absolutely. However, I do have to say, if you've not seen any of these movies,
This is not the one to
This
start.
is not the one to start on.
No, you can't start with
And in
part
fact-
eight. They drop you right in.
Right,
Yeah.
they drop you right in, and I actually have to tell you, I hadn't watched the original since it was part one, since it was in theaters. And I wish that I had rewatched it
Right.
because I spent the first 10 minutes of the movie trying
to remember,
And
yeah.
I've read
Me
the books,
too,
and I'm
yeah.
like,
Yeah,
what the hell?
there's no previously on Harry Potter.
Right.
unfortunately.
And this is probably the one of these out of this franchise that would have benefited from a Star Wars type scroll.
Yeah,
Like,
so it's a little
no.
disorienting at first, but it's also the shortest of them all. So at 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
would have been a little bit longer
Right.
had they.
Right,
had exposition.
but I think those are only, at least for me, those are only minor quibbles. This is a fantastic movie. The action moves along quite nicely. You know, it really quite nicely. It's really exciting. You get this gigantic battle between armies of wizards, and it's pretty much everything you could expect. Like the spectacle of that is fantastic. It's really, really fun.
Yeah, it's gorgeous and it's detailed. I mean, you can see it in 3D or 2D. I saw it in 3D and I actually very much liked it in 3D, which people will probably be surprised to know, knowing my tastes. But they took their time doing the conversion.
Right.
And they didn't rush it. They were going to do it with part 1. They didn't rush it. They took their time with part 2. And the details do pop out. And it does add texture and it doesn't seem just superfluous and gimmicky.
It's well done. Like if you're not a 3D fan in general, I wouldn't say, oh, this is the movie that's going to win you over. But you're not going to watch and go, ugh, this 3D, it's so terrible,
Yeah.
which you do for about 90% of all 3D movies.
Right. It's the only one in 3D, so go see it in 3D, I would say. Yeah, I had a blast. It's propulsive, it's intense, it just never stops.
Propulsive.
Propulsive.
Okay, I thought
you said repulsive.
At first I thought you said repulsive. I just wanted to make sure.
pro.
Okay.
It moves well. No, it's very sad too. It
It's
ends
very
in a
moving.
melancholy. I mean, I was choked up.
yeah,
at the
yeah.
part.
I found it to be
Yeah.
very moving,
I-
especially for a movie that jumps you in with little context. You know, realistically, you've spent, what, 10 years with these characters
Right.
on screen, and so you get back into it very quick, and you learn things about certain characters
Yeah,
that are very moving, and there's an extended flashback sequence that I found to be probably the most moving segment of the entire franchise.
Yeah.
I got a little choked up.
And a lot of characters that you've grown to love, you sort of get these little moments with them, sort of one last hurrah with them that are really terrific. And the only quibble that I would have is that I kind of wish it weren't the shortest film in the series because there are so many people and so many places and so many objects in there that it's almost dizzying how quickly a lot of it goes by. And I think like they might have paused for a moment with, say, like Harry and Ginny Weasley and kind of resolved that whole thing. Some of it kind of zips by because they're trying to cover so much ground so quickly. It's one of the rare cases where I would have said another 20 minutes. I would have been okay
or
with
maybe
that.
a little bit of adding some dialogue in to help us catch up.
Sure.
Right. I know that we live in an era where everybody's got DVD players or Blu-ray or whatever, and
At least go back and read the wiki page.
right,
for
exactly,
part
which is
one.
what I did after this movie. I'm like, what was happening? How many Horcruxes had they already found? But
Whose sword and what's
but
the
again,
thing?
those are only minor quibbles.
No,
It's a
but
fantastic
yes, terrific
movie.
movie. It's a lot of fun. A perfect sort of exclamation point to end this series.
I found it satisfying, but there's also some catharsis there. And I'm not a big Harry Potter geek by any means. I read like the first 3 books and half of the 4th, but I still found it, quite moving, quite intense. The epilogue, I don't want to really give it all away, but it's got some kind of cheesy grown-up makeup going on. It kind of giggle-worthy.
I didn't mind it as much as the youngifying special effects that happened earlier in the movie.
I was okay with that.
That I thought was a little cheesier, but none of those things got in my way.
Yeah, these are quibbles. Okay, so
totally.
numbers.
8.8.
8.5.
I'm going to also give it an 8.5. That means 8.6. Again, what we say is totally irrelevant here because the entire world is going to go see this.